The Switch 2's game lineup can be a little bit confusing. There's games built for the Switch 2's hardware like Donkey Kong Bonanza or Pocopia, backwards compatible Switch 1 games that were updated to run better on Switch 2 like Super Mario Odyssey, and the games coined as Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. Switch 2 Edition games usually are Switch 1 games that were not only popular on Switch 1, but could also benefit substantially from the hardware upgrade offered from the Switch 2. Or, these games can just be games that released for both the Switch 2 and the Switch 1. See? Confusing. As of making this video, there are 9 major first-party examples of this coinage, and with the exception of Wonder and Xenoblade Chronicles, I've played all of these pretty extensively. So, with that being said, here are the 7 Nintendo Switch 2 editions ranked from best to worst. Really quick, before we get started, I just wanted to say this list is very subjective. This is just my experiences with these Nintendo Switch 2 editions, but I am curious to see as to where you guys would place these games, relative to my judgment. Alright, let's actually get started. Sitting at number 1 is going to be Tears of the Kingdom, and this is kind of a special case for me because, and hold your pitchforks, I did not play Tears of the Kingdom on Switch 1. I'll be honest with you, I don't even know why I didn't. I just don't think I got around to it. I played Breath of the Wild, loved Breath of the Wild. I don't know, I think I was just caught up in other games, but I digress. Experiencing The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom for the first time on Switch 2 was breathtaking. This is one of the best games ever, made even better with a 4K resolution, HDR, 60 frames per second, faster loading times, all added by the Switch 2. This is maybe the best use of HDR on this console. It doesn't add much in terms of new content, but I'll be honest with you, and this goes without being said, it didn't really need to. I was able to experience this game as a traditional sequel because I played it so many years after Breath of the Wild. Maybe I would rank it differently if I did play it on Switch 1, but like I said, this is just based on my experience. I think my final justification for Tears of the Kingdom being number 1 on this list is that if you handed me Tears of the Kingdom and asked me if I wanted to play it over all of the other games on this list, I would take Tears of the Kingdom 100 out of 100 times. That's just me, but that's going to be why I have it at number 1. At number 2, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one, but Breath of the Wild. And a lot of the reasons are pretty much identical to the reasons that I gave for Tears of the Kingdom. So much so that I think that if Tears of the Kingdom just never existed, Breath of the Wild might actually be number 1 on this list. I personally think Tears of the Kingdom is a massive step up from Breath of the Wild in pretty much every way, and again, it's just better than a lot of the other Switch 2 editions on this list. So that's pretty much it for number 2. Breath of the Wild, you pretty much know why from number 1. Number 3, Kirby and the Forgotten Lands plus Star-Crossed Worlds. This took one of the better Kirby games in recent memory and added more of the same, which isn't bad. First off, this game is visually stunning on Switch 2, 4K, 60 FPS, all that stuff, and really, the first 3 games on this list are a reminder of how badly Nintendo fans wanted to see their IPs in 4K. I remember people inventing 4K adapters so that they could play their games in 4K. Kirby and the Forgotten Lands helped me remember that those days are gone. In terms of what's added, the new stages are gorgeous, and as a fan of 3D platformers, these give me exactly what I know Nintendo is capable of. I mean, seriously, these were a blast to play. The new levels also take great advantage of Kirby's different transformations and power-ups, and we all know how awesome those were in this game. The extra content actually also flows directly into the main story, so if you've never played it, it will flow as if it was a part of the game, and if you've already played it and beat it, you can just pick to go play those new levels. I remember a lot of people were upset because this is a $20 upgrade pack, but I think that there's enough new content and definitely enough of a visual boost to justify it. So there you go, Kirby and the Forgotten Lands plus Star-Crossed Worlds sits comfortably at number 3. Number 4 I think is going to surprise a lot of people. I don't know if I would call it controversial, but Super Mario Party Jamboree plus Jamboree TV. Now, to preface this, if you don't play party games, this one might not make a lot of sense to you. If you do play party games, this one would make a lot of sense to you because Super Mario Party was already one of the best Mario Party games since Mario Party 9, and everything that the Switch 2 did for it just made it even better. I sound like a broken record, but obviously 4K, 60 FPS. I think Super Mario Party Jamboree Switch 2 Edition's main selling point is going to be the innovative mouse controls with some of the minigames and some of the bonus modes added through Jamboree TV. The way that Nintendo implemented the Switch 2's new hardware capabilities into Super Mario Party Jamboree really made me happy. It reminded me a lot of the reasons that people were so enamored with the Nintendo Wii back in the day was because of titles like Mario Party 9 that utilized its brand new motion controls really well. I think some of that magic applies here. I think if there is a title to really flex new innovative technologies, Mario Party would be the title to do it. Super Mario Party Jamboree, welcome to 4th place. The 5th game on this list makes me genuinely sad to talk about because I really wanted to place this game higher on the list. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Where do I even start? I'll get the positives out of the way first. This game definitely is one of, if not the best looking game on the Switch 2. Gorgeous art style. I mean, they really went out of their way to make sure that this game was total eye candy. Let's see, 30% through the game, I thought this might be like the best game that I've played on Switch 2. Very shortly after that, I realized this game sucks. And I had heard about the same about this game. I know it went through a developmental nightmare. I guess they just couldn't figure out what they wanted this game to be, and there's a lot of contradictions within the story that kind of show that. Without giving any spoilers, there's a point in the story where you have to collect these keys that kind of allow you to traverse between the map. And Miles McKenzie, on multiple occasions, tells you that you can collect these keys in any order in which you choose, which is a lie. He says this multiple times. The game is as linear as it gets, which would lead me to believe that maybe they had a more ambitious idea in mind for Metroid Prime 4, but it just never came into fruition. They did scrap this game once and restart production on it, so that actually sounds like that might have been the case. In terms of content added between the Switch 1 and Switch 2 editions, you've got Quality Mode. That's it. That's literally it. There is no difference between the two versions of this game. One runs and looks a little better. That's it. Looking at this list now, I might have even put this game even lower if the first couple hours of the game wasn't genuinely a good time. Like I said, that's why this is so disappointing, because I thought this was going to be one of the poster child games for the Switch 2. And it wasn't. It was terrible, and it belongs at number 5, if not worse, on this list. Number 6, Pokemon Legends ZA. God damn it, Game Freak. Another game that I desperately wanted to put higher on this list. I think it's a prime example of a phenomenal idea with really lackluster execution. The battle mechanics initially were really cool. That gimmick faded fast, and I think that unfortunately all that really did is make me want to go play a mainline Pokemon game because of the mechanics. And for a game that's trying to implement a new mechanic, the last thing you want is that mechanic driving players away from the game. And the sad part is that the battle mechanic was the fun part about this game. Everything that did not take place within a Pokemon battle in this game was a drag. And I mean, seriously, it was so boring. The story was not engaging whatsoever. Quite the opposite, actually. And for a game that came after Pokemon Legends Arceus, which made a lot of Pokemon fans excited for what the future of Pokemon holds, this sequel is horrible. It's not even close to what Legends Arceus did. They just stripped a bunch of the mechanics from Arceus, which were fan favorite mechanics, mind you, and didn't even bother to replace them with different or comparable mechanics, even though we're on newer hardware. And all in all, just took what Pokemon Legends Arceus did, all the correct steps that it took, and just took a shit all over it. And just like Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, the differences in the Switch 2 version versus the Switch 1 version is also practically nothing. I mean, I will say the Switch 1 version looks considerably worse than the Switch 2 version, and that cannot be said for Metroid Prime 4. But all in all, I would say that 30% that I enjoyed in Metroid Prime 4 Beyond was better than the entirety of Pokemon Legends ZA, which as a Pokemon fan breaks my heart to say, but that's why it's at number 6. And last, but sort of not least, is Animal Crossing New Horizons Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. This is not by any means the worst game on this list. Obviously, it's probably a better game than the previous 2 entries, but at least the graphical differences were somewhat significant in Pokemon Legends ZA and Metroid Prime 4. You just get like a graphical boost in Animal Crossing. There is no performance boost. You get mouse controls, but they're used for exactly like one thing. You get microphone use, also used for exactly one thing, and faster loading times. That's pretty much it. This actually falls more into the category of a Switch 2 update rather than a Switch 2 edition. At least Pokemon Legends ZA and Metroid Prime 4 did utilize the Switch 2's capabilities a little more than Animal Crossing New Horizons did, at least in my eyes. This is Animal Crossing on the Switch 2. That is pretty much the extent of this entry. Alright, that is my ranking of the Nintendo Switch 2 editions, at least a lot of the first party ones. If I did a video on the third party ones, this video would be 7 days long, so I'm not going to do that. If there's any other rankings that you guys think I should do, feel free to let me know in the comments. Or if you guys would have placed any of these games in a different spot, please also let me know in the comments. I'll catch you guys next time.